Good morning, my name is Mike Turpey. I'm a Scottish Blue Badge tourist guide based in Edinburgh, and during this time I'm doing some virtual short tours of the city. I'm permitted to have an hour's walk, and parts of Edinburgh's new town and some of the more visited areas in other towns are within distance for me to exercise. So I'm taking a stroll up Frederick Street. Frederick Street is a part of what we call the new town of Edinburgh, and it was developed in the 18th century because of overcrowded conditions in the old town, which really is based around Edinburgh Castle on the other side of the valley, on the more southerly side. Now, one of our Lord Provosts or mayors called George Drummond of the 17th, 18th century was really striking out against all this poverty and bad conditions, and came up with the idea of planning a better alternative, and from that came the idea of the new town in the 1750s. Now, a competition was put forward for some of the leading town planners of the day to put forward an idea, and James Craig, who was quite a young man of humble origins, he won the competition, and today we have got really a development of this idea of a regular street formation, a gridiron system as we call it, of blocks and squares, streets running parallel, streets running vertical, just like a modern city would be today. Now on Frederick Street, we've got a statue here just behind me of William Pitt. There's a view of William Pitt here. There, and he was the youngest Prime Minister of Britain in the late 18th century. He was only aged 24. Now, Prime Ministers nowadays in Britain do tend to be quite young, and some of the youngest Prime Ministers were Tony Blair and David Cameron, but were aged about 44. So 24 was quite a big achievement, especially at that time, William Pitt. So he stands proudly there. Now, the new town of Edinburgh really has streets named after figures important to unity between Scotland and England, and this street, called Frederick Street, is named after Prince Frederick, or Duke of York, who was the younger son of King George III. And we'd be moving down Frederick Street here towards the castle and the main kind of shopping street, which is called Princess Street, and that is also named after the sons of King George III, who was on the throne at the time that this new town of Edinburgh was being developed. Now, the idea quoted from George Drummond was the new town should naturally be a place of trade and commerce, of learning and the arts, and politeness and refinement of every kind. So it was a big ask. It's a wee view of Frederick Street. I'm just going to cross over. One of the beauties of Frederick Street as an artist, which I am also, is that it's got an uninterrupted view. If you're actually sitting underneath the castle and looking towards the new town, you've got this perfectly visible street formation. It makes quite a fine subject for art. I'm just going to turn us up this street here to the left. This is called Rose Street. Now, Rose Street is named after the national flower of England, and we've also got a Thistle Street, which is named after the national flower of Scotland. So as you can see, the idea of unity was quite important to naming streets. Now, going back to the 18th century, we had kind of lost our parliamentary representation when the MPs, or members of Parliament, moved away from Scotland down to London in 1707 after the Act of Union. And there was a big drift away with some of the more prosperous, wealthy people following the chain of power down south, and Scotland felt a bit neglected because it had also lost its king, it thought, in 1603 with the Union of the Crowns, so it felt a bit disenfranchised. So this idea of building a new town, a gridiron, attractive arrangement of townhouses for wealthy people to stay in was hoped to lure back those people who had left. But that didn't really happen too much. But what it did do was it attracted the increasingly self-made people like the merchants and traders who would occupy townhouses here, and servants. It created a bit of a social divide, unfortunately, whereas the old town of Edinburgh had kind of been a mixture of society, with people living what we call cheek by jowl, what was later thought to be the poorer kind of servant classes of people living beside the more prosperous nobility and wealthier merchants. But with the opening of the new town then, that kind of changed, because there was the division. So the poorer people were left behind in the old town, while the wealthier people moved over here and employed some of these people. In fact, there's stories of young girls who had to work as kitchen maids, having to get up about 6 o'clock in the morning and working through to about 11 o'clock at night in the kitchens of these modern townhouses. Now, let's swing along, because we're now on Princess Street. I'm going to go back up Frederick Street, but get a little view of that statue on the horse just behind me. And that is to the Royal Scots Greys, who were a famous cavalry regiment from Scotland, who were active at the Battle of Waterloo. And it's quite a remarkable statue there on horseback. Famous view along Princess Street. You can see way at the end there the kind of architecture of the Scott Monument, which I'll be talking about in a later tour. So, walking back up Frederick Street, turn you around a little bit so that you can see it's on a bit of a hill, rising upwards to that statue of William Pitt Younger. So things were changing. The social divide had opened up, the new town and the old town, and these two still exist today, and it makes Edinburgh very worth coming to see, because you've got that amazing contrast of these Greek and Roman influenced buildings, but a kind of understated architecture, Georgian architecture. There is only one original Georgian building which is visible today on Princess Street, and I'm just going to take us down to have a quick look at that at the corner of Frederick Street and Princess Street, just on the corner here. So beautiful today with the cherry blossom. You can see a view of Edinburgh Castle just behind there. Crossing over Princess Street again. Now, I'm going to give you a view of these two buildings behind me. The one where you can see Chisholm and Hunter, just above that is one of the original Georgian townhouses, and most of these were taken away as Princess Street developed into a big commercial hub as it is today. But even back in the 18th century, there was people making carriages for the wealthy inhabitants of the new town, and there was also carpet makers and painters. So it's very much an artisan place. But you can see that building too has got shades of the Georgian understated architecture, which I love actually. Sometimes I think ornament can be taken too far and can seem too cluttered and over decorative. So anyway, I'm going to just head back home, take a little final view along Princess Street with the castle sitting up on the hill, and I wish you a good day, and hope to see you perhaps in Scotland one of these days, where we might even meet up and I could take you on a short walking tour. But goodbye for now from beautiful Edinburgh in the spring. Thanks for watching. Thank you. Bye.